How can you make a read-only attribute in Python? So we have a class here called square, which accepts a length and an optional color, and it stores those on a length attribute and a color attribute, which we can see in the string representation of this class. This class also has an area property. A property is kind of like a virtual attribute. Every time we access the area attribute, a function will be executed and its return value will be given back to us simply by accessing the attribute. Which means if we change the length of a square object and we access the area will seem to change. Now, what if we wanted to take our square objects and make it so that their color can be changed, but their length and their area can't be changed? We want to make the length and the area attributes read-only. It turns out the area attribute is already read-only. Rather, we can't assign to area. The reason is properties are read-only by default. So we could try to make our length attribute into a property. We do that by using the property decorator and naming our property length, and then it would return whatever our length is. Now, this doesn't quite work. It doesn't work because in our initializer, we assign to length, but length is a property that doesn't have a setter. So we can't assign to a property by default. It's read-only. The problem is our property is accessing data that is stored in the same place as our property, which isn't possible. We need our property name to be different from the attribute where we actually store our data. We need an attribute that has a different name than length. So it's a common convention in Python that when you have some internal data that shouldn't be accessible from the outside directly, that you use an underscore prefix. So we'll say self._length, that's the attribute where we're going to store our actual length. And then our property will access self._length. So now when we make a square object, we'll see that there is a length, but we cannot assign to it because it is a property. Now, this underscore convention, it is just a convention, which means we can access the underscore length attribute. And in fact, we can even change it, which will change the length on our square object. But when other Python programmers see an assignment to an underscore prefixed attribute, they'll look at this and think something strange is going on. We're changing some internal details of an object. This attribute is supposed to be private by convention, so it's uncommon to see an assignment to an underscore attribute. So if you need to make a read-only attribute in Python, you can turn your attribute into a property that delegates to an attribute that has almost the same name, but there's an underscore prefixed before that attribute name to note that it is private by convention.